Venus and star blessings, everybody. Welcome back. Today I want to talk about the new moon in Aquarius, which is really, really, really exciting. There's so many exciting new cycles beginning in the month of February. January was an extremely unique and powerful month, and so is February for that matter. It's all about Aquarius. And with that, what I'd really like to say, I could just say these words and just leave it at that, but I won't. But I will say these words: freedom for the people. That's what this is all about. Revolutions, revelations, rebellions, chaos. It's all happening. And then, of course, there's the extremely creative focal points for ourselves as well, which has a lot to do with our evolutionary journey, our own personal awakening, and how we contribute to the collective awakening as well. You know, when it comes to the later signs of the zodiac, there is always a calling for us to step into pathways, new experiences, new insights, new understandings, new journeys that are not just about our little personal self, but are actually about the soul of humanity and the divine will, the highest will, because Pluto in Aquarius is about the highest will for all of humanity. So let's start with the new moon. And also the Leo Venus star point, the morning star that occurred in August of 2023, is still in place. So we are still currently in that cycle, which is a very, very important cycle relative to all Venusian matters. It is the morning star, so it is the warrior goddess. It is about action on the earth. Mars and Venus are doing a number of very interesting things throughout this year, which I'll show you. Let me just share my screen and bring up the chart for the new moon, and we'll start from there and we'll work our way around. So before I forget, because I always tend to forget, my classes are starting in February. Well, it is February, 9th of February. It's a new series, 12 weeks. They will run fortnightly. Each class goes for about 3 hours, extensive PDF files, chart examples, and so on and so forth, looking at things from an evolutionary, traditional, Hellenistic, and some Babylonian astrology as well, relative to all the planets, including Chiron, and very specific asteroids that I'm going to be focusing on. There's quite a few asteroids there, including the asteroid Lucifer, which is not often spoken about. And also, of course, Lilith. You know, those two archetypes, when they are projected from the unconscious components within us, they bring up a lot of the darker components of life that are very uncomfortable for a lot of people. But once you understand those archetypes, how they work, and what is the significators to them, and how you might work with them in your own life, in other people's charts and so forth, there's a lot of power in those archetypes. There can be abuse of power for sure, but there's also power just from the point of view of your own personal power. That's all part of this 12-week series. So if you're interested, just shoot me an email. It's coming up soon. It's the 3rd of February today as I sit here and do this recording. So you've got about another week to think about it, but do email me if you want some further information on that. So here is the new moon chart, and this is based in Melbourne, Australia. So for my current location, obviously the chart will look different based on your location. The primary thing to always do with any planetary energy you are looking at anyway, but in this case, the new moon, is where does this new moon land in your birth chart? That's obviously the focal point of this particular lunation cycle. Now, this new moon is a classic Aquarian new moon, and this month particularly is all about freedom for the people. It is about revelations. It is about waking up. It is about stepping outside of our comfort zone, whether we like it or not. For what? For our own evolution, for our own growth, and in order to become closer and more in touch with our own authority, because Saturn also rules Aquarius, as does Uranus. So it is about our own personal authority. It is about our own authenticity, being authentic with our heart, with ourself, with our life path, with where we are heading, with what we are trying to create, and really, really stepping out of our comfort zone, because this new moon is actually square Uranus, which is the ruler of the new moon. And that's a really, really powerful significator for a lot of different reasons. First of all, Uranus, of course, rules Aquarius. It is a square aspect, which brings in a very dynamic energy. And for some people, that might be very uncomfortable. And for others, it can be a completely exhilarating and freeing opportunity to release things from the past that are no longer part of their journey moving forward. There's going to be a lot of releasing and clearing during this new moon. It's a signature of liberation and freedom and authenticity, and being in touch with your own path, your own authority, deciding for yourself, you know, breaking away from old regimes, old systems, old structures, old pathways that you've been somehow, you know, caught up in, connecting to imprints, you know, conditions, you know, all those sorts of things that describe our life in different ways. This is a true month of true revelations and revolutions, you know, for the entire world, actually. The collective components of this are going to speak to huge, huge uproar, I would think. And there's already tremendous uproar anyway. And it's just building every moment, literally building every moment. The farmers, the matters in Palestine, the severe political, critical crisis matters in USA. You know, Biden is gone. He's just absolutely gone. I don't even know how he's still physically there, but you know, he's gone. He's finished. You know, all these other critical matters in various countries in the Middle East, extreme conflict and things like that is still existing, a lot more than we actually realize, because for the most part, most of it is not aired on mainstream media, of course, because the things that are taking place are actually serving the people in one way or another. It is about freeing up oppressed people. And there's a lot of oppressed people in numerous places, not just Palestine. And by the way, Palestine will always be Palestine, and Palestine will always be free. Just want to say that too. So getting back to this new moon being square Uranus. Now, the last time we had a new moon in Aquarius last year, it was around January sometime in 2023. It was actually at about 2 degrees of Aquarius, right? And Uranus at that time was about 14 degrees of Aquarius. So they were square by sign, but they were not square in traditional proximity as the way we would use measure a distance between, you know, two planets in an aspect, right? Just traditionally speaking, they were pretty far away from each other. Although in evolutionary astrology, we would still consider that a square. The point being, however, that in this new moon, this year, February 2024, the square is, you know, virtually exact. It's less than a degree away. So that is a very, very powerful, potent square. It's almost like we could say, you know, for the last 12 months, it's been building, 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 building. And now it's gotten to that point where it is almost exact. So the energy is extremely potent. The potency of this can be very disruptive. It can be very chaotic. It can be exhilarating. It can be liberating. On a collective face of things, as I said, it's going to be pretty chaotic and pretty disruptive in a lot of different ways. But as I always say, crisis, which in Chinese means opportunity, in order for things to change and shift from, you know, really embedded, deep, conditioned mindsets and patterns and so forth, it never comes in a, you know, in a little gifted box with ribbons. It has to come through cataclysmic events. Shift can only really, significant, powerful collective shift, at least, really has to come through moving things that have been, stuck and persistent in their own way for a very long time. And this is all part of, what's going to unfold really over a 20-year period while Pluto is in Aquarius. So this month is a real catalyst, as was January, for what we are going to see further expanding and further building as we move forward with Pluto in Aquarius. So outside of the Uranus squaring the moon, what other aspects are there to this moon? There's not a lot, actually. Well, there is a wide sort of sextile to Chiron. Well, it's not that wide. It's, yeah, it's definitely within range, actually, as is the North Node. That's important too, because that speaks to really what I spoke about the other day. I just uploaded a recording, I think it was a day or two ago, where I spoke about the significance of Chiron conjunct the North Node. And if you haven't listened to that, I encourage you to listen to that, because it's just, the whole video is just on Chiron North Node, more or less, and you'll just get a bigger picture if you listen to that. But relative to the context of this new moon, it's showing us that this new moon, which is about freedom for the people and freedom within our own self to express our own true authenticity and, release the shackles of the consensus chains, in order to tap further into our own individual, unique, authentic path, which is Aquarius, of course, and Uranus. Chiron and North Node is assisting that journey. It's helping us heal certain things that we either have struggled to heal, or we're unconscious about, or too scared to confront or face. The North Node, as I said in my previous recording, is a benefic point. So it is connected to people that you draw and attract in your life that support you on this path you are trying to activate. So the Chiron North Node conjunction is in this picture as well. Freedom, authenticity, individuality, individuation, a term that Carl Jung coined, which is a term that we use in the astrological world as well, which just means being authentic, aligning with your true self, your highest self. So the call is exactly that for this lunation cycle. And because it is a square to Uranus, there might be some unusual, unexpected things that come out of this cycle, things that you weren't prepared for. Collectively, some really shocking truths will probably be revealed during this cycle as well, all of which serve to us evolving and individuating individually and collectively. Because when Uranus is about shock, right? And that's the reason why it corresponds to trauma in evolutionary astrology. So sometimes the shock can be so severe and it can be, really traumatic. And sometimes it can be an unexpected shock of some kind that is the absolute catalyst and the very thing you needed to move you out of a stagnant situation that you've been in perhaps your whole life, or maybe for the last few years, or whatever it's been. Uranus is a wonderful energy, but it is very difficult as well, depending on what, emerges in your life circumstances. It can be something really painful at times as well. Like, for example, when my father transcended, Uranus was doing really powerful things in my own personal chart. And it was conjunct my sun in Aries, actually, so that was a complete shock. It was a traumatic experience, but it did lead to certain liberations within my own life path and journeys. So it's a little bit like the Chiron wound, where to heal that wound and to access that wound and to understand it in all the different ways that it speaks to your life journey, you you must pull off the bandage, right? And that is painful. But once you do that and you work on that wound, then it starts to heal. But we can't just, the bandage is a little bit like a Band-Aid solution to things, you know, or suppressing and denying certain things because they are just too painful or too difficult to confront. And sometimes it's completely understandable. But I guess what I'm saying with this new moon, there's a lot of energy here that is suggesting that there's going to be band-aids ripped off left, right, and center beyond our control. And we have a choice in how we, I suppose, how we integrate in that journey, you know. And we can only do our best at any given moment, of course. But I just think this is going to be a really unexpected unfoldment of events that will occur, particularly because of Uranus being involved. What other aspects are there? That's really mainly it in terms of aspects to the new moon. I mean, Jupiter has a wide square, that's really wide, but I guess it's there to some extent. But Jupiter is not a difficult planet, you know. So it's, if anything, you know, it's just going to add a lot more energy towards this new moon cycle. Jupiter is always about expansion and, you know, blowing things up, making things look a lot bigger, sometimes a lot bigger than what they actually are. But it is an energy that corresponds to benevolence, bountiful energy, expansion, growth, faith, you know, development, optimism, feeling more encouraged, you know, to pursue certain things and so forth, right? So the square to Jupiter is nothing to worry about, that's for sure. The other interesting things that occur, you know, pretty much in this month of February, not necessarily on the new moon, but just before the new moon, we had a Mercury-Pluto conjunction. So there's 5 new cycles sort of all happening very close to each other. We had the Mercury-Pluto conjunction, which is active for several days. I'll just make a few comments about that in a minute. The new moon a few days later, which occurs, you know, on the 10th of February. Then later in the month, by the 21st of February, Venus and Mars will form a conjunction in Aquarius. That's another new cycle beginning. So that's 3 so far. Then we're going to have Mars conjunct Pluto. That's 4. Then we're going to have Venus conjunct Pluto as well. That's 5. So there's, you know, 5 new cycles all beginning in the sign of Aquarius, basically in the month of February. So it's a huge, huge month for freedom and revelations to the people, Aquarius. It's simple. And there's tremendous, you know, passion, energy, drive, will forces at play here. And Pluto being the soul, the highest will within all of us and the will of humanity, if you like. It's, you know, Pluto is never to be underestimated. It's energy within our own self, within our own soul, and the energy as it is integrated or experienced, you know, collectively with humanity. And of course, you know, Pluto does connect to power, right? So it is speaking as well to, you know, certain powerful forces that may want to manipulate and control humanity, Aquarius, for their own agendas. That's, you know, that's happening anyway. That's there in the background as well. But I think humanity is really at a precipice at this time, you know, with Pluto in Aquarius, new moon in Aquarius, square Uranus, Venus-Mars conjunction in Aquarius, then Venus-Mars-Pluto conjunct in Aquarius. This is humanity at a precipice. These are windows, opportunities, energy patterns that we have not experienced in our lifetime. And in some cases, some of these portals we've never experienced or haven't experienced for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It all started with the Sun-Pluto conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, as I've mentioned several times already. So you can see there's this momentum, right? This unfoldment taking place, all from Aquarius energy, right? And also, when Venus and Mars form their conjunction, that is going to also line up with, as Pluto is lining up with, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that occurred at 0 degrees of Aquarius back in 2020. So it's, you know, it's picking up energy from that, right? So Saturn and Jupiter are most certainly, well, they correspond to a lot of different things, but from the point of view of society, social norms and culture and rules and laws and, you know, all societal things, all these matters have to do with Jupiter and Saturn. And here come, you know, Pluto in Aquarius, Venus, Mars in Aquarius, new moon in Aquarius, square Uranus, you know, activating that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this is, as I said, it is a month where humanity is really at a precipice, and things are going to probably be perhaps even more chaotic to some extent, from that collective level, in order for these changes to come through, because change doesn't sweep through in an easy way for the most part. So there's all of that going on. I will come back and speak to the Venus, Mars, Pluto triple conjunction in Aquarius, perhaps a little later in February, because I want to just do a specific focus on that triple conjunction, but I'm just bringing it up as a way of understanding this lunation cycle, right? The importance of it relative to what's happening around it, you know, days after or a week later and so on and so forth. The other matter, of course, is that Ceres is in Capricorn now, right? She's been in Sagittarius for the last few months. And Ceres is a principle of nurturance, lack of nurturance, grief, loss, and renewal, just to put it very simply. She's the mother of Persephone. Pluto abducted Persephone. You know, that's the whole story. When you see Ceres, Pluto, Moon, Persephone themes in a chart, that story becomes alive in that person's life in some kind of way, just as a side note. But Ceres in Capricorn, here's what I think this is going to speak to. Given the nature of reality, with all the turmoil and chaos that's going on, with the injustices, with the genocide, with lies, propaganda, disproportionate measures of control and, you know, all that stuff, right? I think what's going to happen with Ceres in Capricorn is there's a lot of systems, certain political leaders are going to absolutely fall, crumble, because Capricorn is the archetype at a collective level that speaks to authority, mainstream Saturn consensus authority. That includes government officials, that includes military, that includes presidents, you know, so on and so forth. There's going to be certain individuals or groups from certain systems and governments, congregations and so forth, that are going to lose their power. So let's see if that happens, because I think it will. That's Ceres in Capricorn. Now, the other matters that are really worth mentioning is in January, we had the full moon in Leo. And that full moon in Leo, I think really also connected to the Leo Venus morning star, which is Venus's cycle at the moment, still active until the month of June, which is, you know, a few months away. And in June, she transitions from morning star to evening star. We'll come back to talk about that, which will be in Gemini. But at the moment, she's still, the Leo morning star. And so the full moon in Leo, pure heart energy, creativity. Venus in Leo is about our heart-centered energy, pouring love into our creative self, our creative life, our creative projects, the things that we love, coming from our heart center, coming from our heart space, really, really putting our heart out there and following what we want to work on, what we want to experience, what we want to achieve, from a heart-centered place, right? And what's going to happen is Mars and Venus are going to ingress into Aquarius, right? So they're going to be opposite the Venus star point being at 20 Leo. So Mars and Venus, when they get into Aquarius later on in the month, they will at some point reach the degree of the opposite degree. Aquarius is opposite Leo, right? So when they reach around about 20 degrees of Leo, boom, they activate that beautiful Venus star point energy. So a lot more creative potential to be presented to us. And also, and this is going, sort of towards, well, it is going exactly towards the end of the year, but it's just important to look at these things because they all tie in together. So in December, Mars will be, let me see. It will be in Leo. And when it's in Leo, it's going to basically oppose the conjunction that Mars and Venus started in February, 21st of February, the conjunction occurs. Mars will activate that conjunction in December as well. And at that time in December, Venus will be back in Aquarius, where she will be in 10 days' time. So you see, these are all little pockets that it's like a big jigsaw, and you just trying to bring the pieces together. But overall, when you look at this, what we are looking at is pure creative energy and potential. Venus from the heart, Leo. We've got new conjunctions with Mars Venus. We've got a new moon in Mars Venus conjunction in Aquarius. We've got a new moon in Aquarius. Square Uranus. Uranus is the ruler to all these Aquarian portals that are just beaming through the month of, well, I'd say January and February. And, Mars at the end of the year is going to oppose, all these energies that are being activated at these times when he gets to Leo in around about the 6th of December, that is. So lots of potential and lots of things to look forward to from those perspectives. These are all wonderful new energies calling us in, inviting us in to experience and explore our passion and our desires and to be true with our heart, Venus in Leo, to be authentic, Aquarius, to break out of old patterns and old routines and old mindsets. Pluto conjunct Mercury in Aquarius, we have not seen that in our lifetime. Mercury in Aquarius, by the way, which, in terms of essential dignities and debilities, has neither dignity or debility. But what I've noticed through the years, this is many years of looking at, astrology and charts, 26 years, in fact, coming up to 27 or maybe 27 already. Mercury in Aquarius is a wonderful placement for Mercury. I don't hear people talking about it really, but it is an amazing place. Think about it, right? Mercury, the messenger, the god of communication, logos, speech, information, knowledge, connecting the dots, connecting with ideas, learning, studying, reading, all that sort of stuff that Mercury symbolizes in the sign of Aquarius, which is the most objective sign, the sign that actually corresponds to humanity. It has the clear, objective perspective on anything it looks at. Aquarius is the least personal sign. When we start going from around about, I'll say from Sagittarius through to Pisces, and to some extent Libra and Scorpio, but in a different way, but certainly from Sag to Pisces, the later part of the wheel of the zodiac, those are non-personal signs. And Aquarius is literally the archetype of humanity. So there is tremendous speech, voice. There's a necessary voice coming through humanity with Mercury conjunct Pluto. So that's the collective field of it. It's the voice of the people basically saying, no more. We've had enough of this. Enough is enough. This is Pluto, Mercury. On a personal perspective, it can very easily assist us individually with breaking out of mental habits that no longer serve us as well. So it's transforming our own mindset, right? Pluto is always the agent of transformation, right? So again, a really powerful opportunity here to step outside our comfort zone. As I've said before, it's not an easy thing, and most people resist it. That is to step outside of the comfort zone. But all these energies speak to that, invite us into the unknown. Uranus, Aquarius, certainly Uranus and to some extent Aquarius, is about the unknown. The unknown triggers anxiety and insecurity in people because for the most part, most human beings like to have a sense of control and have a sense of knowing of everything that's going on. And that's the world of Saturn, of course. Saturn at the consensus level. But when we step into the unknown, that is where we can potentially experience, well, first of all, new experiences, a sense of liberation and exhilaration. It can be from the smallest things to the largest things, right? It just depends on you, your life story, and so forth. But it's fundamentally a liberating and exhilarating energy that will be quite chaotic on the front of the stuff that's going on the earth. I have no doubt about that. So honestly, this is a really exciting month actually for everybody. And again, look at where these energies are being activated in your own birth chart, because it is those zones that will, zones being a house, particular house, or, it could be conjunct one of your angles, which is a house as well. So it depends where it's unfolding for you. It's good to be aware of that, to understand what that house means and so forth, so that you can make the most of these energies. These energies will activate and trigger numerous different things for different people in different ways, right? But everybody will experience something within this. It's virtually impossible not to, because when you have Uranus in the mix, which we do, it brings up the things that are totally unexpected, which means things that are out of our control, things that we're just not really prepared for. So I think we have to keep ourselves open and flexible, right? Because if we resist this energy, typically when we resist Uranus, the call of Uranus, things can show up that are not very comfortable. Sometimes it can be accidents, and all sorts of things can happen when we sort of try to suppress Uranus, you know. Uranus needs to, the energy of Uranus, the archetype of Uranus, needs to move freely, right? Uranus is about freedom. You try to, you know, it's like taking a free spirit and locking them in a cage. You know, what do you think is going to happen to that? So this is, you know, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy for our own sense of liberation in some kind of way. And again, you know, to understand this on a personal level, you must understand astrology enough to interpret this for yourself, you know, with your own birth chart. But if you don't know how to do that, you can always reach out to me and we can look at these things together. So that's always an offer for you. Let me see what else have we got here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, happy new moon. Freedom to the people. May every soul wake up to the truth of their own sovereignty, their own authenticity, their own true voice. And as I said, because it is all Aquarius energy, it is speaking to the whole world, you know, and our role in this human family. Because when we step into the later signs of the zodiac, it is our duty and responsibility to understand and see what is going on and how we will participate or support or speak up against, you know, things that are not right and so forth, things that are completely unjust. You know, this is a, you know, it's the raw, like a ROAR, roar of the lion heart, right, through the people, because all these Aquarius energies that are just being activated to the absolute hilt with electricity. Uranus rules electricity, high voltage electricity, you know, ramping this energy up in Aquarius with all these new cycles starting in Aquarius. Well, the opposite sign to Aquarius is Leo. So it's our heart-centeredness coming from our heart, the roar of the lion speaking through for the benefit of all humanity. Because as I've said numerous times already, if one country is oppressed, all of us are oppressed. So this is the time for us to roar from our heart energy for the purpose of all of humanity being liberated and free. How beautiful is that? I guess because I'm a double Aquarius, moon ascendant in Aquarius, and Uranus trines my moon, trines my ascendant. It's in my 9th house. This sort of energy is what I naturally feel aligned with, and have always felt aligned with, and have always wanted this for the world, you know. So this sort of energy is really exciting for me. I just love it. I love it. So as I said, I'll come back and talk about the Venus, Mars, Pluto in Aquarius. And yeah, make the most of this new moon. Allow yourself to be open to the unexpected, to the unknown. And just remember, this is not just about right now, today, and about just yourself. This is about all of us together, rising together in unison. Everything that's happening now will have ripple effects for years and years and years to come. So it is our duty, and the calling for us to get it right, you know. The divinities, the stars, you know, as above, so below, they are presenting certain portals to us, right? Giving us in a plate virtually. Here's the pathway, here's the door, here's the opportunity. What are you going to do with it? The call is there, undeniably. So I'll see you all very soon. Once again, as I said, if you want to join my new series, which starts the 10th of February, shoot me an email. It's going to be awesome, magical. I've put a lot of work into this, as I did in the first series as well. And I'm really excited about sharing that with those of you that will be joining. There's a few of you that are joining already, so look forward to seeing some new faces as well, and my previous little crew, an amazing little crew of people. And also, finally, before I forget, there's a follower, for lack of a better word, who just made a beautiful comment underneath one of my videos. Is this one, was it? Yeah. And I just want to give a shout out to her. Obviously give a shout out to all of you, but I specifically want to say thank you to this person. Let me just find her. Her YouTube name is Rhonda Cerres. Rhonda Cerres. You just wrote another comment about the song by Sarah McLachlan. And you wondered if I had heard it or if it was if it would resonate with me, and I've replied to you. So absolutely, and so much synchronicity in your messages. And as I said, your message really touched me. I really thank you and appreciate that you made that comment about me and my father. It means a lot to me, because I don't even know you, and it was just such a touching message that you wrote. So I thank you for that. Okay, so I'll see you guys very, very soon. Make the most of this month. Really just tap into that Mars, Venus, Pluto, new moon in Aquarius. It's really all about authenticity from the heart. Authenticity, Aquarius, heart, Leo. This is the polarity axis. That's basically all the force and energy and light is being cast on this axis, you know. So it's about the people, all of us as a human family, and, you know, rising and aligning from our heart center. We have the power. The people have the power. The minute or the second people wake up to that, the reality you see will completely change. The reason it doesn't change so quickly is because it's a process. Not everybody can integrate with that understanding or insight. Not everybody can understand it, and not everybody is willing, right? That's why we see transformations taking place throughout, you know, different periods and different cycles. But I think we're once again at a completely unique precipice at this point in our life, and this is, you know, just golden opportunities to really just say bye-bye to those old systems. It's up to us. We have the power. Don't forget that. Don't ever forget that. Much love.